It was never going to be possible to make a perfect adaptation of The Wheel of Time. Robert Jordan's epic fantasy series consists of 14 books, 15 if you consider the prequel, with a total number word count of nearly 4 million. There's simply too much stuff for a TV show to cover. The Amazon Prime Video adaptation of The Wheel of Time understandably departs significantly from its source material. Stick around to find out some of the key differences between the Wheel of Time books and the film. First, the cast has been aged. One of the most obvious differences from the show compared to the book series is that they aged up the characters quite a lot. Moiraine's children from the Two Rivers are described as kids in the books. They aren't as young as A Song of Ice and Fire Stark siblings. Never forget on the page, Jon Snow, Dany Targaryen, and Robb Stark are 13 to 14 years old. In the Eye of the World, everyone is a post-pubescent adolescent. They are, however, still sheltered and young. Rand and Egwene have mutual crushes on one another. Perrin is too hesitant to talk to girls, and Matt has never kissed a girl. That is no longer the case. Perrin is married, Matt has a slew of girlfriends, and Rand and Egwene are in love. The group's relationship with Nynaeve, who is 25 in the books, is similarly altered by the show. She's only a few years older now, rather than nearly a decade, bringing them all closer together. Next, the Wheel of Time series setting is much more obvious. The second difference is actually pretty subtle. If you have read the books, then you will probably recognize. The show's setting is much more apparent than it is in the books. The plot of The Wheel of Time takes place in a post-apocalyptic future. The locale and timeline are hinted at in the novels, but it's an easy element for readers to overlook. The TV show, however, makes the setting quite evident. Because of the way the novels depict the cyclical structure of time, the plot never felt like it fit into a traditional linear timetable. In the first episode, the camera sweeps the Earth and portrays damaged cities, implying a devastating disaster. The Ages refers to time's cyclical structure, and the story plays with the idea of reincarnation, as humans tend to be reborn in each new age throughout history. As a result, the quest for the dragon reincarnate, a man or woman capable of either saving or destroying the world, lies at the heart of the Wheel of Time's plot. Up next, they don't dive that deep into Rand's storyline, unlike the books. In the early episodes of the series, every defining moment about Rand vanished. After the Trolloc attack, Rand brought his injured father to the hamlet where Tam, delirious from Trolloc poison, tells him he's adopted and was cut from the program. Every situation in which Rand's red hair and height are brought up is thrown out the window. The incident with Egwene's pony, Bella, and the subsequent ecstasy in the Berlin town square were never depicted in the show. They don't even make it to Berlin before disbanding. He did, however, have the opportunity to sleep with Egwene. They were also able to break up as a result, giving him a much more developed relationship profile than tongue-tied around chicks. Next, Moiraine and Rand head for the Eye of the World alone, unlike the books. While Rand recognizes his ability to channel by the end of the first book, it isn't until the beginning of book 3 that he fully accepts his destiny as the Dragon Reborn. We see flashbacks of events from Rand's point of view in the program, and he eventually accepts that he is the one Moiraine has been seeking for. As a good friend, he chooses to accompany Moiraine alone, leaving their loved ones behind so they don't become caught in the crossfire between the Dragon Reborn and the Dark One. Now, Nynaeve is much less of a mother figure in the show. Nynaeve is much less of a mother figure. Nynaeve, along with Rand, Matt, Egwene, and Perrin, is accorded full status. She's an unpleasant, wannabe authority figure in the books because she's much older than they are. She tries to persuade the kids to abandon Moiraine and accompany her home. She gloms onto the group after they decline. Despite no one begging her to stay, Moiraine can see Nynaeve's potential as a talented Aes Sedai in the books, but her attitude makes her an unsuitable candidate for training. Nynaeve recognizes that she could be an Aes Sedai, though she isn't in the books, but refuses to consider it. Next, the show changes the original and confusing book ending. There are few parallels between the Eye of the World's ending and the show's, except for the fact that Rand believes he fights and defeats the Dark One. Spoiler, he doesn't in either the book or the show. There is no Green Man, Balthamol, Agenor, large pool of Satan, or Rand going nuclear on Tarwin's Gap in the programming. To be honest, the first book's ending left much to be desired, but Robert Jordan improved his endings as the series progressed. The show's season 1 finale, however, has proven to be the most polarizing among fans. Although, given our eagerness to see where things go in Season 2, the showrunners did their best to keep us guessing. Another mention is that one character gets a controversial backstory. The backstories of the characters are the only thing that has changed significantly. Many of them get better developed relationships or family drama as a result of the show. However, it is with Perrin, our gentle behemoth of a character, that we truly depart from the source material. He wasn't married in the first book, but he does have a wife in the adaptation, whom he inadvertently murders with his axe in the first episode while fighting Trollocs. In the same interview with Decider, Judkins explained that he regarded this as a necessary adjustment in order to portray how the people would have grown attached to their home, making leaving more difficult. This is a perplexing adjustment for lovers of the novel. Regardless of how the producers are manipulating the plot, it can't help but feel like it falls into the category of fridging, which is the practice of dying off a female character in order to provide incentive for the male partner. It succeeded as a visceral moment of stunning brutality, but it felt superfluous and ill thought out in a series that has done well in developing better female characters thus far. Next, the cast is much more diverse in the series. In the late 1980s, when Robert Jordan began writing the Wheel of Time trilogy, fantasy was largely a white world. After 30 years and one Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, this production has effectively used what we can term the Hermione principle. Why make the characters white when they aren't supposed to be? The end effect resembles a high fantasy version of Netflix's Bridgerton. The Wheel of Time show has to be one of the most diversified fantasy series on television today, and this is perhaps the most significant departure from the books. Next up, the show is told from a different person's perspective. The majority of the Eye of the World book series is told from the eyes of sheep herder Rand, Joshua Stradowski, making it clear that he is the protagonist, aka the Dragon Reborn. The Wheel of Time places Moiraine as our protagonist, at least for the first few episodes, to keep us guessing. This decision allows us to gain a greater understanding of the stakes of her mission. We learn more about the lives of our characters in the Two Rivers by not focusing primarily on Rand. We get to see Egwene's admission into the woman's circle, something Rand would not have been able to tell us about. Matt's, Barney Harris, troubled home life is also explored, as is Perrin's, Marcus Rutherford's, relationship with his wife. Next, there is a new dark friend in the series. In this series, we see Rand and Matt are threatened by a dark friend, a human who has been influenced by the Dark One. In episode 3, A Place of Safety, Dana, Izuka Hoyle, is this Dark One, not to be mistaken with Denna, Tom's sweetheart from the books. She is entirely a new character. The interaction, however, has its origins in the Eye of the World, where Matt and Rand meet dark friends such as merchant Howell Goad on their quest. Lastly, the book's prologue with Lewis Theron and Ishmael was kept out of the show. A difference that the book's readers will definitely notice is the original book's prologue, which features Lewis Theron and Ishmael and was kept out of the show. The Wheel of Time begins with a scenario set in the breaking of the world in the first book. As the first entry into this imaginary country, it's a bit perplexing, therefore its omission from the first episode feels appropriate. They probably only did this to save time, as they have to condense so much content. And there you have it, everything you need to know about the Wheel of Time show and all the main differences between the popular book series that it is based upon. Thanks for watching.